The bottom right in the blue, he's playing for Vitality. It's Solar. Upper left in the red, really solid games against Dark. It's herO. Although I gotta say, I'm really hoping this is not all three old maps again. That was the herO Dark series. They went and they did, I think maybe it was even Site Delta map 1, but it was Site Delta, Oceanborn, Alcyone. That was what we got. And, you know, I love... Old maps are great. Give me the new maps. Come on, they're new, they're flashy, they're exciting, although they're also really bad for Zerg, so... understandable if you ban them out for the most part, Solar. I get it. Understandable. Regardless, we're going to start on Site Delta here in this map number 1. We saw herO do a really cool build against Dark in that last series. And it didn't work out. He decided to try to hold his third base, and it didn't. The play would have just been to try to hold the natural and sit there and be fine. But he went, it's not going to happen this game, but he went very quick, early as possible, Twilight, even before Warp Gate, into 4-gate Glaives, but there was no Robo, right? It was a 330 third base. Blink behind, +1 behind. And he built like 10 Adepts, runs across the map, forces a ton of stuff out from Dark, and then Dark realizes, wait a minute. You haven't done anything done here, and I just built a ton of units. I got to go attack. So he goes and commits to it. And he knocks the third base down. Now, if herO had just fought behind his wall in the main base, in the natural, he would have been fine, probably. Would have bought time for Blink and the rest of his tech to show up. And Dark was only on about 35 drones. So, you know, losing the third base is not that big of a deal. Instead, he tries to hold the third base, gets surrounded, gets piled, dead. Game 1 goes the way of Dark. So not the best play. But it's not super relevant talking about that game, and he was not particularly relevant anyways, because herO's not going for that. In fact, he's going for a Void Ray in this first game of our series, and we're seeing this become a little more popular, I think. It's kind of fun. The logic effectively says that if you think you can get 2 Overlords with your Void Ray, do it, right? That's worth it. 200 minerals, a lot of supply blocking the Zerg potentially. Totally worthwhile. And for now, Solar's got 1 Overlord just outside the naturals. He's got 1 Overlord on the other side of the map. And look what's happening, by the way. This Void Ray hasn't necessarily been... Oh, he's got to send it back home. I was going to say, this Void Ray hasn't been scouted, so he's going to get the Overlord in the middle of the map. But now that it's been scouted, we should see this Overlord going home pretty quickly. And these Lings are just doing so much here. This is the problem with opening a Void Ray. You don't have a lot of anti-ground power. It's a big problem. Lings are going to show up in the main base. The Overlord's dead, sure. But it's 2 dead probes. It's a dead Adept. Third base, not going to go down, certainly not. There are more Oracles on the way, so there is that. But these Lings are getting 3 probes. All of a sudden, man, herO's got to get so much more done, and Queens are well positioned, Spores are well positioned, the Oracle is only a single, not a double, so 2 drones go down and heavy damage there. I guess the saving grace, the Overlord wasn't pulled back very quickly, so I think this Overlord might go down. Maybe. Yeah, I think this Void... I mean, that's a lot of Queen energy. So transfuses are going to get spent. Oracles try to dive on top. This is a little bit more damage, but nice target fire there from Solar. He's just going to make sure that the Oracle, there's one that's healthy, one that's not. It's not worth targeting down the healthy Oracle. Why would you do that? Target the low one. Make it so they can't sit there. You can't balance the shields well enough. And that means that instead of being a lot of dead workers with the Queens out of position, it's only 2 dead drones. And Solar, you know, he's taking some damage. It's 4 dead drones, 13 links, but he's gotten 4 probes, and that is more than enough. So herO behind them. 6 additional gateways. Charge on the way. No forge, nothing like that. He's going to commit to a charge timing. Not even a... This is not even +1 charge that can be really powerful. Just a ton of Zealots. And there are no Oracles. He's not building a bunch of Oracles on top of this either. This is pretty committed from here. Yeah, he's on 4 gas. Sure. But this is pretty committed from here. He wants to get a lot done with this. Wants to hit just about as early as possible. Now he's building some more Oracles, though. So let's see how well this thing works. Solar, he's got his Roachborn done. He's got his lair just about, actually lair done just now. +1, Roach Warren on the way, and it looks like we're going to see Swarm Hosts. Roach Ravager Swarm Host is going to be the name of the day, is going to be the order of the day for herO, or excuse me, for Solar in this game one, and it's pretty good on side Delta, let's be real. Problem is, if that's what he decides to go for, I mean, these Zealots are hitting much quicker, so there's +1 on the way. And this is turning into be such an all-in for herO, not necessarily because of his economy. He's only on 55 probes, not only because of anything else. It's because his opponent's going Swarm Host behind, and Charge Lot Adept Oracle into Swarm Hosts dies. It's just not good whatsoever. So you gotta get a ton of damage here. For now, we're gonna see Stasis Trap not get a lot done. Zealots on top of these Queens, and they are a lot of damage. The Queens are trying to transfuse, but eventually they're just gonna run out of HP. So a lot of these Queens are gonna go down, forcing Roaches. Roaches are not Swarm Hosts. That's a pretty big deal. More Zealots continue to rally across. But I don't think herO has this. Ah, that's such a good Ravager Morph with the hold position on the drones as well. It's so hard for these Zealots to get on top of everything. I mean, they're still getting Roaches in the open field. They're still getting value. And there is, of course, Blink on the way, +1 on the way. But trading army for herO just doesn't feel like it's enough. Not knowing what we know about the tech. The moment, and I mean the merest moment that this herO stops just feeding Zealots into this army, into the setup, we're going to see like 10 to 12 Swarm Hosts on the way. We're going to see him move across the map with Roach. I was going to say Roach Ravager Swarm Host, but I guess no, he's Hydra Den. Changing his mind. He's like, it's probably not worth it. Probably going to get figured out. I'm just going to drop a Hydra Den. We're going to drop a Hive. This is going to be a Lurker play, and it's not horrible. Ooh, another. How many Queens are on the map at this point? 4. Okay. So for now, Oracle's going to try to dive in the main base, get a little bit more damage done. Or, I mean, if you get another Queen Snipe, that's really, really nice. He's going to get it. No, he's not. That's unfortunate. I really thought herO was going to get that Queen Snipe. And again, knocking Queens down to this stage of the game, much like any other stage, is a really big deal. Because if you're able to do that, what that means is suddenly the creep spread's not as good. The injects are not as good. It really does curtail the Zerg economy quite a bit. But herO's on this Gateway Man style, and you know, earlier stages, Gateway Man, I don't hate it. But you do have to develop more tech, and building a lot of Oracles is not developing further tech, not really. You need Disruptors maybe, or more Stargate or something. Now, Stalkers right now, they're just going to sit on top of this Nexus, knock that one down, +1's done, Blink is done. The Roach army here is honestly not quite good enough to take this fight, especially with Zealots on top of things. So Stalkers have to blink out eventually. The 4th base of Solar is dead. Pretty reasonable trade, all things considered, with the Roaches as well. And now 4th base done for herO. Solar loses his 4th, and he's starting to get to the tech level. You saw my stream on the Twitch front page, by the way, Soakjet, like on the rotator. That's pretty cool. I doubt it. I was not told that I was being featured. Now, if you're talking about suggested, that's a different story. That's pretty cool, though. I'm not going to complain. So, +2 ranged on the way here. Lurker range getting added in, and you got to be careful. These Zealot run-bys is very easy to lose a lot running into a bunch of Lurkers like that. What's herO's transition? Again, he's been on Gateway Man for quite a while. SDMO TV asked, Beowulf, did I watch the Eclipse? I was at 98% totality. And I live very close. I wanted to go. I just couldn't get out in time. And by the time I was able to make the drive, it was like 2 hours from the Eclipse, and the traffic was so bad that there was no way I was going to make it in time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get 98%. I'm going to cry. But it's fine. So herO is slowly but steadily getting himself into this tech. He's got double Robo. Storm's going to be done soon, 2-1. But is it enough to handle this pressure right now? What are we looking at? We got 1 Immortal on the map. 1 Immortal's not great. Storm is not done. High Templar have to be very careful. But I think herO's going to trade. Losing the 4th base is not great, but he forces a cancel on herO's perspective 5th. He's got this damage done here, and he's just trying to buy some time. Archons are going to get made. Storm just about done. And there's going to be the recall. So now Charge on top of things. It's 2 Immortals here. Storm's on top of this army. No. Now he's going to turn him into Archons. It's a little bit awkward, but a Revelation should be able to be there. And herO is going to be able to break this back. It's not pretty necessarily. He doesn't get as much as he would have liked, and the lurkers still survive. But even still, herO keeps his 4th base alive. Gets the 5th base on the way. More Immortals, 3-2 getting added in. And what I think is pretty interesting here is that we're not seeing a Stargate transition. We're not seeing a Fleet Beacon, 2nd Stargate Tempest. That's how we saw Classic win. No, he's just mass ground. He's not quite Gateway, man. He's building a lot of Immortals. But I feel like as you get up to 5th bases, you get up to 5 bases, you either want to go and add a 3rd Robo and really commit to ground tech, or you go and you commit to air. 2 Robo ground against this, it feels kind of sketchy. And by the way, where are our storms? The 3 High Templar on the map, they're somewhere. They're not here as 1 Oracle goes down very quickly. Without storms here, this siege up it's just Hydraling Lurker is so hard to deal with, and now run by into the natural as well. I mean, herO, that's going to be his go time, maybe. Revelation on top of this army as well, and the Lurkers they're the problem, certainly, but they're not the only problem. These Hydras on the high ground are doing so very much. This run by broke herO, and the storms are just, I don't know where they were. They were on the 5th base maybe, but herO's dead. All of a sudden, he is so far in there. He's not 6 feet under, he's 8 feet under it. Actually, no, that's not fair. This is a very shallow grave for herO in this game. He is so dead. Solar takes game 1. And man, that was just weird, right? Like, you can absolutely break down those lurker techs with Storm, Charge Loud Archon. You absolutely can, but the High Templar just weren't there, and not in enough number, and you need storms on the Hydras, really. Storms ideally in a Warp Prism, to go and get storms on the Hydras and whittle them down before you take the fight, because it wasn't even like lurkers were the issue. They're a lot of damage. Absolutely, don't get me wrong. Lurkers are decent units. Not if you talk to Lambo, though. But in general, lurkers are decent units. The problem is that they were like 20 Hydras behind them with +2 attack, shredding everything that got close. And Hydras were really the DPS there. Lurkers are just there to be kind of tanky, odd as it sounds, and make it this death zone to run through. So where do we go now? herO build in game 1 didn't work, but against Dark also his game 1 didn't work. So maybe something interesting in game 2. I mean, it was a super cool build we saw from Dark in game 1 where he went and committed to Glaives but without Robo and tried to transition out of it. Didn't really work this time though. And Amphion's a weird map, right? We saw Solar go Ling Muta against 3-Gate Phoenix for Nightmare and still win the game. What do we like on this map? I'm very happy, by the way, that we do have new maps in the herO Dark series. It was all so in the current map pool. There are 9 maps. 3 of them, Oceanborn, Alcyone, and Side Delta, are all from the old map pool. But 6 of them rotated over. So Ghost River, Amphion, Host Youth, Dynasty, Crimson Court, others I'm forgetting. And in general, the new maps are pretty bad for Zerg, all things considered. The old maps are better, even if not good. It's funny, Ranger's been complaining because last map full Site Delta was one of his bans against Terran, and now Terrans are banning against him because the other maps are so good for Terran. As I love this high ground positioning, he's not going to get anything, but does force Solar to micro just a little bit more. And behind this will be Stargate, of course. I don't think this is a Glaives map. What it is, I don't know. So for now, again, just very standard out of herO. What's really cool to see as well is it looks like, so he's going to mine out the mineral wall and take the aggressive 3rd, which is simultaneously theoretically vulnerable, right? If the Zerg also mines it out. We saw what happened in the Nightmare series, but also, I mean, pretty heavily defensible. You just wall off your main base and you go to town. So it also gives you a really nice pushing avenue if you want to go mine out the other side, but that can be hard. You got to send some probes over. So yeah, it looks like it's just gonna be blink. Maybe there's a charge lot timing. I don't really like these +1 charge lot timings if that's what we're going for. And on 4 gas is probably most likely this is just gonna be blink, right? We're developing our gas economy in a way that tells us, probably not charge. But I don't really like these charge timings for the most part. It just, even when they're set up to succeed, it doesn't really feel like they are. And I like herO getting blink anyway. So for now, yeah, there we go. Blink on the way, +1 on the way, shuts down an Overlord. And the second question as we take a look at things is whether Solar decides to go Spire once again. He did it against Nightmare, worked tremendously well, and with +1 melee on the way, that seems likely. Now, there's no lair, and you would like to get it started sooner rather than later. So maybe this is just +1 melee, and actually no, this lair is too late for Ami to play for the most part. We don't have enough gas for Ami to play. Oh man, an Oracle goes down. I have seen more Oracles die today in the first 5 minutes of a game today than I have seen like in the last month. This is, I don't know what it is. The Protoss players, definitely didn't just about fall over. The Protoss players as a whole just seem to have gotten some yips. Is this pylon? Ooh. This is a nice little position to go attack from for herO. And by the way, because of the pylon range buff, he sees the base. I don't know actually if he would have seen the base otherwise. But this pylon is gonna go down, and the hatch is gonna complete right around the time the pylon's done. So heavy pressure coming out of herO right on top of things, and there's not a lot of surface area actually on this gateway. It's gonna be not the easiest thing for Solar to go try to break down. So Stalkers warping in. Solar's gonna open the rocks as well, so that's a really powerful pushing position. You wedge one Stalker into there. Probes are gonna get pulled to mine on the other side. Oh, they're gonna find some links. This is a little awkward. This is probably 4 dead probes. Stalkers are gonna show up. Link's gonna be done. +1's done pretty soon. Stalkers, bit of an inopportune timing. We should see the sentry go down. Stalker's starting to fall here, but our Oracle shows up and says, okay, we're gonna deal with the rest of this. Nice timing out of Solar, actually. That could have been really bad. As it stands, the pylon goes down, and now gateway on the right side. Do we get any warp-ins here? No charge on the way, certainly not. And seems like with no defensive warp-ins, this pylon will go down. So herO, oh no, okay, Stalkers are gonna warp in, which means the pylon stays alive. And yeah, I like herO's position right now. Again, supply is not great. It's only 80 supply, 50 PV workers to 70, down 7 army supply, but he's doing a nice job of putting a lot of pressure on Solar on multiple sides. And as long as he just holds that gap in the mineral line, Lings cannot fight this. So even if he's got +1, it's not great. So more Stalkers now warping in on the right side. herO, what's he got on the left side? Another gateway on the way, just 4 Stalkers right now. Really trying to multi-prong on top of this. Now, looks like the pylon's gonna get knocked down, but he gets the base, he blinks out, recalls back home. Solar's back now into a 3-base Zerg, and that means that this army, as they recall, they can run back, join their brethren on the north side, continue to get a good trade. Solar supply blocked as well. Now, the big problem here, as we take a look at what's happening for Solar, or for herO, he's got blink, he's got +1. There's no charge on the way. Hydra Ling with +1 is really good against a bunch of blink Stalkers, and as much as we talk about this position is pretty good if it's a bunch of Lings. When you add Hydras there, the Sim City or the Concave is really nice for Solar. It's hard for the Stalkers to go through, but now that they are, this bulkhead, this breach that they've been able to find, Stasis Trap doesn't really get a ton, but there's always room to blink backwards for it. Again, there's this pylon, the probe trying to mine it out just a little bit more, get a little bit more space. And actually, oh, okay, this would be the next level play for herO. I don't know that he's going to go for it necessarily, but you go and you get a refinery, you get an extractor. There we go. You get an assimilator on this gas, and you just mine gas, mine minerals, mine gas, mine minerals, and slowly just mine out the wall, because that absolutely works, right? That's a pretty efficient play to make sure that you don't have to pull a bunch of probes and make that happen. So that would be pretty cool. Now, a bunch of +1 Lings are going to find this 3rd base to Solar, or third base to herO, and herO's pretty heavily supply blocked. So even as we say, yeah, you know, the position's not bad, these Lings are absolutely going to shut these Stalkers down. Charges get so heavily delayed. And while knocking down the 4th base once was pretty nice, this is a rough position for herO. I don't like this at all. He's down 30 army supply. His tech is bad. herO's just dead. It looked good to start, and then Solar just kind of kills them. Solar in the finals. herO stumbles at the last step. I don't know who he plays, but Solar runs into someone.